Corner. The Couples Corner. This is the Couples Corner. Team Evans. This is the Couples Corner. The Couples Corner.
The Couples Corner with Team Bevins of I Still Do Ministries every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is another episode, and today you will get some good information, some great nuggets, and some tools to strengthen your relationship. The Couples Corner with Team Bevins.
All right, party people, how y'all feeling tonight, man? Welcome to the Couples Corner. I am Marcus, and this is my wonderful wife,
Sheree.
and we are in the Couples Corner tonight. Excited about being able to share with you all, and we're going to, finish out our series tonight. We've been on a series, and the series that we've been on is Business and Marriage, being able to manage the both. So for those of you who are business owners, we would like for you all to be a part of this conversation. And for those of you who are desiring to be business owners, you might want to make sure that you are paying attention to get some notes and some things that you can do so that you will be able to manage and balance out and blend with your marriage and your business. So we're going to pray, and then we'll get into our topic tonight. So for those of you who are joining us by Mix Station, we thank you all. And for those of you who are joining us via social media, thank you as well. And the people that are on social media, feel free to share this or to tag some people, invite them to the conversation so that we can take the conversation a little further, and we'll be able to dive into this, kind of open it up and deal with some things. And so if you have some questions or some input that you can share to help those who are just getting started with their business and trying to manage their marriage, then, we want you all to kind of be in the mix of that. So let's pray. Father, we thank you for another chance to be in the Couples Corner. We thank you, Lord, for what you're going to do tonight. We thank you for every person who is a part of what we're doing tonight, Lord, every person who is listening, every person who is watching. And we pray, Lord, that what we share and what we gain tonight will be information that we can use and that we'll be able to apply to our lives and to our businesses, to our marriages, Lord, that it'll cause us to be better individuals, which will help us to be better in our relationships as well as better in our businesses, Lord. We thank you and we praise you for your presence and what you're going to share and show us, that we would be able to honor you in all that we do. We love you, we thank you, and we praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so picking up off of where we were last week, we can't really, of course, kind of catch everybody up on everything that we were doing previously. But if you haven't been, with us all the way through, then, hopefully you'll go back and you can watch the replay, or if you are on Mix Station with the app, then you'll be able to, kind of log in and connect with listening to one of the earlier broadcasts that we did with marriage and business. So do that so that you can kind of catch up. But we were kind of dealing with it from the standpoint of how business and marriage are very much parallel, and how a lot of the things that you have to do in business are also things that you have to do in marriage. And it allows you to be able to focus and accomplish what you're trying to do in business and in marriage. A lot of the principles are the same. The consistency, the approach, having a vision, having a plan, and being able to carry them out, having things in order and a strategy and, a method in how you're going to accomplish the things that you kind of set out as goals and things that you want to do. So all of those things are necessary. And we did it off of, basing it, of course, off of the scriptures of Habakkuk 2:1-3, where it talked about write the vision and make it plain so that they that read it can run with it. And sometimes, we have these lavish ideas, but we don't always have all of the components together with it, where we don't always have We don't have the vision. We may have the vision, but we don't always have the plan. Or we may have a plan, but we don't want to do the work or go through the process. And so there are steps, and, we're kind of jump back into the steps. I'm just kind of doing a little speed version of where we've been and what we've covered thus far. So with that, we have, you have the vision, you have the plan, you have the work, you have the process, and then you have the success. And so many of us are trying to just have success without having the vision, the plan, the work, the process. We want to bypass some of those steps and just get right to success. And that's not always, going to be a successful outcome for you if that's the way that you're going about it. So that's where we are, and we're going to pick back up on that. So is there, out of what we've done thus far, is there something that has kind of stuck out to you that has been kind of a nugget that you would want to kind of represent?
Just that, that everyone that is involved, be it 100%, 10%, 20%, should know your vision and know your plan so that they can help to carry it out no matter what their role may be. If they're your spouse, they should be involved in the whole process.
That's good.
Not that they're working in the whole process, but that they know, so they know what's going to happen or what's going on or what should be involved. And the business contract thing stuck out to me from Rick, that he posted on social media, that you sit down and have a meeting and you both sign it so that everybody is aware of what's about to take place, and that if anything is deviated from or anything is forgotten, that you signed this, and that is something that you can hold on to, that you can go back to say this is what's supposed to happen or this is what didn't happen or whatever.
Yeah, that's definitely there are definitely some great points, and I think that to a degree, one of the pieces or components that like you mentioned about everyone being aware and knowing what's going on is extremely important, because if you're not aware and you don't know what's going on, then it's going to be difficult for you to be in agreement with it, to partner with it, and to make sure that it's successful, and all of that, because those things don't just happen without the right work. And you can alleviate some of the unnecessary drama that you can face in your business and in your marriage if the communication is active and it's healthy and everyone is intact and in place. Because how can I effectively support your vision or your business if I don't know what's happening? How can I be an accountability partner for you if I don't know what's happening?
Right.
And so some of those things really play out to become something that is vitally important. And we don't always want to allow people to really be a part of what we're doing and the vision that we have and all of that. And that can become a hardship if you're not careful, because when you're not open and when things are not, active in your partnership, in people understanding where you are, what you're doing and how you're doing it, why you're doing it, then they can effectively support. They can effectively help. How can I promote as a partner, and we can, in a sense, call it a silent partner. You may not be one who is actually doing the work in the business. You may not be the one who's actively working or, doing all of that, but you may be that silent partner who is around and, have a part because of what you can bring to the table behind the scenes, And so in that process of being that partner that's behind the scenes and being able to share some insight, those things are helpful. But if you don't have that person and they're not up to speed with what's going on, then you could be missing out on a jewel that could be present to help you, but they don't even know where you need help or how they can help you because you really haven't brought them up to speed on where you are, or really inserted them in the process. So, that's important. And honestly, if we really get into that and allow our silent partners, because some people actually are partners in their business, but some are just silent partners. And that silent partner is they're not actually in the business, but they're behind the business supporting the person that's doing it. And so they're sacrificing their time. They're sacrificing, resources. They're sacrificing a lot for that business to be successful. And if that person that is doing the business is not mindful of that and only has a mindset that, oh, I built this, or I did this, or, this is me. Well, realistically, none of that would happen without the approval of the person who is silently supporting you. And, many times we don't give the proper credit to the people who are, the supporting cast. You may watch a movie and you're like, oh, that was a nice movie, these lead actors, but those lead actors can't do it all. They have to have a supporting cast. Absolutely. And when that supporting cast is there, you might not be talking about the cameraman, but that actor ain't doing nothing without a cameraman. They ain't doing nothing without a producer. They're not doing anything without someone who can actually bring their talent and present it properly. So there are components to it, and realistically, for your business and for your marriage to be successful, you can't do it by yourself. True. And if you try to do it by yourself, you're going to actually do a disservice to your business. So, I think that it's important that we recognize how valuable the silent partner is, and that we really kind of give them some space and some celebration and some shine, because truth be told, without them, many of the things that we strive to do or want to do would not be possible. And I think that, sometimes we don't really do enough of that, and that can cause some tension in some instances. So you definitely don't want that. One of the questions that I would propose tonight would be, for those of you who are business owners, what was one of your most challenging things with balancing business and marriage? What was some of your, or one of your most challenging things building your business while you were married, for those of you who started your business after marriage? And for those of you who had your business before you got married, then how was it for you with managing your business that was existing before your marriage, and now you're married, in the time that marriage takes, that you no longer have as much of to put into your business? So it's kind of like a two-part question for both sides of it. If you started your business before your marriage, then how did it affect, the time that you had to put into your business, because now you have a marriage that you have to give life to? And then if you started your business after marriage, how was it managing and balancing your marriage, because now you have something that you have to put a lot of life into? That's the question on the table. So for those of you who are listening, you can feel free to call in 1-855-493-6499, or you can respond on social media if you're on with us here, and we'll be able to get and read your questions and respond to them that way. So for you, babe, you started your business after marriage. What would you say was your balancing act with that?
I think that I don't give enough time to my business even now, because I have so many. Well, of course I work, but outside of that, some days, just to be honest, I rather spend with my family than to be grinding in my business. And so that is a problem for me. Like the timing, is a problem, because I need to be looking up stuff. I need to be creating stuff. I need to be taking, classes, or looking at, taking a webinar or something like that.
Right. And
all the time, I don't always do it, because I want to spend my time doing something else.
Gotcha.
So that is the con to having a family and doing that. But at the same time, there are times when I'm more on a roll, with promoting or talking to people or making sure I'm getting things, and that is okay, but you may wind up a little tired because you gotta put yourself in so many places,
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah, that's big. And I started mine after we got married, as well. And for me, it was kind of balancing. For me, it was balancing two things. It was balancing the time, and it was balancing, because mine dealt more with creativity than it just did with time. So it was a two-part time. There was the time in creativity, and then there was the time in like production and product. So like, dealing with music and in the earlier stages was also doing entertainment all the way around with plays and different things like that. It took time to invest into those things for them to be able to be successful, but some of it took time that I wasn't with the business, but I was at home working on the business. So, I could be at home writing music, or I could be home arranging or spending some time with music, but I'm still home. And then there were the times that I had to be away from home and be in the studio or be on the road or doing, something of that nature. And so it was like I had to, in some instances, prepare to do business and then go and do business, and balancing that, because the preparation of it was key in order for the success of it to be key in the area that I was functioning in. But doing that while working a full-time job and having a wife and small children at that time, it was a little more difficult because, it wasn't like everybody was self-sufficient. So it could kind of be like, oh, you don't really have to worry about anything. You could just do it. So it might be like, you have to participate in these areas and then do it on the late end. So now I'm sacrificing sleep in order to do it, or trying to spend some time with you before I start doing that, so that I'm not slacking completely on you, and then you can go to sleep, and then I'm working. But then that still was a sacrifice on that end, because of course nobody really gets married to want to go to bed by themselves. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't want to be, you don't want to just be in the bed. You don't want to just be in the bed by yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even so much just about the intimacy part, but just the companionship part. Yeah. So, that's all of that is important. And so it's like, you want to make sure that you are kind of balancing that and making sure that you're doing the right things, but more importantly, making sure that what you're doing is okay. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we don't get the approval to keep going. We have this idea, we have this concept, and we're like, oh yeah, I could do this or I could do that, and all of that sounds good. But in some instances, if you don't have the approval to keep going, then you can be doing harm while you think you're doing a good thing. And you don't want to be that guy, you don't want to be that girl where you like, well, in the beginning I thought that you were on board with me pursuing this or me doing this or me building this or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I was. But if you didn't properly communicate to me that this is what it was really going to take, then I'm not sure that I would have signed up for it. I'm not sure that I would have, put my stamp on it had I known that it would really, kind of take all of this in order for it to be successful. So it is important that our communication lines are wide open so that we are not like allowing people to feel misled, and that's important. So we definitely want to make sure that communication is important and big, but also how do you handle the financial part of planning for a business? You know what I mean? Because if you're gonna have a business, you've heard the phrase before, it takes money to make money. So, of course, we talked a little bit about it before, about establishing a budget beforehand, or, but it starts with that research, of knowing what it's going to take for your business to be open, to be successful, to be in motion. And once we have those things in place, then we kind of put it in a different place, a different perspective, so that it can be functioning and it can be active. But if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't know what you need, then you can have this grand idea that you don't have the resources for. and then that will breed frustration, and that frustration can linger into your relationship. You know what I mean? And you don't want to be producing frustration in your relationship because, you're unhappy with where things are on your end as far as what you thought your business was going to become, but it didn't. And part of that is because you weren't actually, you didn't plan properly all the way around to make sure that you had the resources that you needed and all of that. So there's a lot that goes into the planning, and truthfully, it really isn't good to do that planning by yourself because it's not just you that's in it. And once you kind of make that commitment in marriage, then you really need to, you really shouldn't be starting a business that your mate is not fully understanding and fully in the mix of, not just, oh, well, I told you about it, but them really understanding fully what it's going to take, and, what it's going to take in time, what it's going to take in money, what it's going to take, across the board, because all of those things matter. And I think that if we were able to do that more, I think that we would have more success stories, because we would have people who are actually doing this with partners and not doing it by themselves. Doing it by yourself can become frustrating, because you feel like, oh, I got to do this, and, oh, I'm expecting you to understand, and I'm looking for you to be this, do that. And it doesn't always, work out to be that way. And so you just want the success out of your business, and you want the success of your marriage. So here's a tough question, though. When you get to the crossroad of success not being at the level that it should on either side, at what point do you make a executive decision? And if you do, what's the decision that you're making? If your business is thriving and is working well, but in order for it to work well and to thrive the way it is, it's causing your marriage not to, what do you do? Or the opposite. If you have this vision and this idea and this plan about a business, but the business isn't flourishing, but your marriage is, and you really want this business to flourish and to work, when you get to that crossroad, what do you do? Or how should you really go about it?
I think all of them, you have to go back to the table and rework your plan, and not necessarily like stop your plan, but figure out how to make it. And there may be a season where it's not going to be easy for you to have both, to work both, like for everything to be just peaches and cream on both sides. But I think that you need to go back to your plan or your vision board or your whatever it is and rework some things to see, okay, now I need to spend, at first I said I need 10 hours here a week, but now I really need like 25. So what am I doing in that 25, and how can I bring somebody to help, or how can it work so that my home life won't suffer? Or maybe you have to ask home life to be able to bear with you for, a month or so, or 3 months or so. So, but whatever it is, it has to be a communication again. Communication. We don't like that word. And you have to write it down. Yeah. So whatever's changed, you need to go back and change and write and rework the plan.
Got you. I think that's great. And I think too that you have to, before you start this, you have to decide what is priority. What's priority before you, if you already had your business and you deciding that you're getting married while you're a business owner, you have to make the decision before you get married, which is the priority. Because me going into this marriage, being a business owner, which one of these is going to come first? Same thing. If you're already married and you're starting a business, you need to, before you get started, already know the order in how things go. Because if you don't prioritize, then you'll be stuck and you won't know what decision to make. And you don't want to wait until a situation shows up before you actually, make the decision that you need to make. You want to be able to make it with a clear conscience with a even mind without having any pressure from the situation to know this is what's going to happen. This is what comes first. And when you have that, then I think that you kind of put yourself in a better position of not being stressed out because you already know how this is going. You already know what's important and how it's going to work. So I think that is important. At the end of the day, I think that your marriage should come first. Now granted, that business, if it is your only source of income, will be what provides for your household. But if you're going to do it the right way, your family comes first. So, we can't forget the order and the structure that it should be. It should be God, family, and everything else is happening after that. And so if you're putting your business before your family, even though in your mind, this is what's generating the funds, this is what's paying the bills, this is what, all of that is good. But you can't just make that executive decision that, well, this family thing gonna have to, be on the back burner. They're gonna have to understand. They're gonna have to wait. They're gonna have to know, because that business is not what you have to do. It's what you've chosen to do, and it can be your source of income, and it can be how you provide. But when you made this life commitment, because you didn't make a life commitment to business. You made a decision to have a business, but you made a life commitment when you chose marriage. So, in that commitment that you made and what you chose, you have to be willing to agree with the decision that you made. Mm-hmm. So there could be a situation where this lucrative, well-working business has to go on the back burner because your marriage is in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. Because the lifelong commitment was to your marriage. The business commitment was to success and to money, and and so that's nice, and all of that is good and is great, and it can be an addition to your family. But if it becomes a subtraction, then you got to go back to the table and figure out how to make this equation work. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard spot for some people, because they can be so in love with the passion and the drive and all that comes with them being a business owner and what they're trying to do, that they forget their commitment to their marriage. And if the two ever, get into a fight for position, your marriage comes first. So, anybody had that type of experience? And if so, how did how were you able to manage that, and what were you able to do to kind of deal with it? I had a situation that necessarily wasn't like that, but it was partially similar. And it wasn't so much that for me, it was preventative. It wasn't that my relationship was in jeopardy or any of that, but I had to make a decision. I was functioning and operating in a position, musically, and it was taking up a lot of time, and, with traveling, with rehearsals, with all of that. And it was cool. It also was bringing in money. It was doing all of that, and it was fine. But as I got into my marriage, I needed to spend more time. See, when I was single, and even during my engagement, it was a lot easier, and I had the freedom to just run up and down, state to state, traveling, doing music, doing all of this, and that was fine. But as I got into marriage, I had to make some decisions, and the good thing was that I made them without my wife having to be a part of it. You know what I mean? It wasn't a thing where she was like, well, look, you're going to have to, or you would, you know what I mean? It was a decision that I made, mm-hmm. and it was because I knew the schedule that I had previously, previous to me getting married, that was not going to be healthy if I kept that, type of schedule after I got married. And on top of that, I began to get more into ministry. And so, I was becoming a minister, I become the minister of music at my church. So it was, a lot more responsibility on the consistent end of the home front was being presented to me, that I had to make a decision. And so to a degree, I chose ministry over money. So, I had to take a step back in business and traveling and music to fulfill my obligation and calling that I had from God with ministry. And I knew that it was going to become too much for me to be married, to be traveling doing music and to, be responsible for building ministry. Like, that wasn't going to work well. And so, my preventative measure was to make some decisions on what I was going to be able to do. One, because I already knew and was doing it well. I had to learn how to do ministry. I had to be groomed and to be coached and, become a student of ministry in order to do it. So I had to make some decisions, because at the end of the day, what I wasn't going to let suffer was my marriage. So, I made that decision, and that's what I chose. And of course, it was beneficial for my wife, and she was in agreement with it. But out of respect, I think, even if she agreed with it before I thought of doing it, it was just something that she wasn't trying to present to me like, hey, this is what you need to do, because, I was still kind of in a sense managing it. Of course, I couldn't be giving the amount of time that I could if my schedule wasn't already booked and I didn't have all these things on my plate. But, that was just kind of what I did, to kind of help remedy the situation before it got bad for me.
So, if you have any answers to his questions as far as how your business, your timing in your business, how you are able to continue to have a successful business and continue to have a successful marriage, either if you started before you were married or after you got married, you can dial 1-855-493-6499, and we'd be glad to talk to you and hear your success story. But we would also like to hear, the pros of this, the cons of this, or anything that has happened along your process. During the process, before you get to the successes, there are many things that go on. Some good, some bad. And I'm sure that if we are mature, we learn from the bad things or the negative things that happen during the process of our relationships or working our business with our relationships or during our relationships. So if you have any of that or things that you learned or things that, tell somebody never do this or never say this, then you can call us, or you can, if you're with us on social media, you can put a comment on social media, and we will read it. But you will help somebody, so people are listening, or they want to know, like, how do you bounce back? How do you bounce back in your process when you're in your process and things are not going so well? How do you bounce back from a business that you thought was going to make you so much money, thousands and millions of dollars? How do you bounce back when you're not making anything, or when at the end of the year there is no profit? I was really looking for that word. When there's no profit, how do you bounce back, or how do you continue to move forward and not get discouraged in your business? I believe that you should have a mentor. Mm-hmm. I really do believe that. I believe that you should have a business mentor, that's somebody that has been successful or is successful. And maybe it may not be the exact business that you have, but in building a business and carrying it out for years and years and being successful. So how do you bounce back, though? So if you have a comment or you have a question, you can call us at 1-855-493-6499. If you want to leave it on social media, if you're on social media with us, that is fine. But the question that I have is, in the process, when there are ups and there are downs, when there's highs and there are lows, how do you bounce back from the lows? How do you take it and continue to strive to move forward and not quit on your business? Because millionaires are not made overnight.
Right.
Profit is not made overnight.
Right.
And I know that it takes work to have a successful business, or to even see something, profitable out of certain businesses. So, just if you're able to call in and let us know.
That's you made some great points too, and I think that when we understand that, we have some say in the matter, and we have the ability. You know, that's something that is, you know, like, I think integrity is important too when you're dealing with business and you're dealing with marriage, because it takes integrity to make the right decision when in some instances you can lose. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You can lose, but you'll still win because you used integrity and you made the right decision versus chasing money that's not forever.
Yes.
And you know, and you don't want to become that person. You don't want to become that person because, you know, people quote scripture wrong all the time and say, you know, money is the root of all evil. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil, because
yes.
you know, you shouldn't be loving money. You might like having it, and money can answer many things, but if your focus and your love and your complete drive is all about money, it is not about people, it's not about helping, it's not about serving, it's not about, you know what I mean? Like, the best way to be successful with business is that you have a servant's mentality. The same thing in marriage. The way to be successful in marriage is to have a servant's mentality. If you have a selfish ambition in what you're doing in business or in marriage, then you are barking up the wrong tree, because, you know, there's going to come a time that selfish desire that you have is going to show. It may seem like you're for people. It may seem like you're for all of these other things, when in essence you're really about yourself and you're really about making, you know, the dollar, and that dollar is supreme to you. And of course, the purpose of you doing business is for you to make money. As a, you know what I mean? It's an exchange.
Yeah.
But you also have to have a drive. You have to have a why. You have to, you know, be able to do it for the love of it, because there are going to be times in business that money isn't present. You know, and if you don't have the drive, if you don't have the right why, then you'll quit quick because the dollar isn't there. But if the love is there, then you'll be willing to build. And that same principle applies in marriage. Many people's marriages have ended not because the marriage couldn't make it, but because they didn't have instant grits. They didn't want to go through the process of doing it the right way in order for it to work and to last. You know, I'm not sure if you all know it, but food that you cook the right way stays hot a lot longer than what you heat up in the microwave. Yes. So, you know, you have to be willing to endure the process and do it the right way so that you can have longevity in what you're doing. And if you can have a reason and you're able to produce in business at a level because your desire is what you're giving, what you're, you know, the exchange is, I'm giving you something for your money, but what I'm giving you, I love more than the money that you're giving me. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to serve you the right way. But if I'm only trying to get your money, then I'm a hustler, and hustlers don't have integrity. They only want the dollar, and they will do whatever it takes to get the dollar from you, even if they got to give you a product that is subpar. And so you know that's when you are off, you know, you're off target, and that's where your integrity comes in, because you want to be able to make sure that you're providing the best possible service, even if you're giving it at a discounted rate. You know, it's kind of like you can't run a special in your business and what usually is $50 is on sale for $30, and then you give them $30 quality instead of giving them $50 quality for $30. That's what's going to make them come back and get it for $50. But if you got a $50 price tag on it, but it's really $10 quality, and then, you know, I already feel like I didn't get my money's worth even when I got it on sale, I ain't coming back. So, you know, your integrity is important in that process, and that will help you to, you know, make the best decisions in what you're doing, because if not, then, you know, you won't have a successful business or a successful marriage if you don't have a servant's heart or approach to what you're doing. So that's definitely important. And, you know, I think that's a admirable approach and mindset that you have to have in order to be able to do that. So I think that all of those things matter. And when we can learn to do that effectively, I think that we put ourselves in the best position to be successful. And, you know, in talking marriage for a minute, you know, sometimes sometimes we focus on the principle of things sometimes instead of doing it. Well, no, we don't focus on the principle. We focus on the gain of things sometimes in business and not the principle of things. But in marriage, you have to focus on the principle of things, and the gain is a plus. So, it's just like we talk about, I'm not saying that I want to spend the rest of my life with you with contingencies. It's not, I want to spend the rest of my life with you and I'm going to be this great husband as long as you're this type of wife. The status and the type of wife that you are doesn't have anything to do with my decision or my responsibility of being the type of husband that I should be. The type of husband that I should be is because of my choice and what I have decided I'm going to do and how I'm going to produce. If you meet your mark or you don't, that shouldn't change me being a husband. Same thing, vice versa. And sometimes, we miss that in marriage. And sometimes we won't actually, give the best version of us in our marriages because we aren't actually, focused on how things are going and what things should be doing and, how everything is working. But the reality is, in order for you to have success in your marriage, you have to make that decision. You have to make sure that things are established before anything shows up. We talk about that all the time, that it's kind of hard to make a decision, a logical decision in the middle of something that makes making decisions difficult. You have to be able to have that decision made before anything happens. So when something happens, you're not on the fence. So that's, that's very important.
Give me no outs today.
So, I love it. And I think that.
We just got to get some claps.
Celebrate. So let's look back at the foundation of this. that Habakkuk business and marriage. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's look at that foundation of Habakkuk 2:1-3. Can you read that?
I will stand my watch. You said 1-3?
Yeah.
Oh, I will stand my watch and set myself on the rampart and watch to see what he will say to me and what I will answer when I am corrected. Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
And I think that one of the bigger parts in this that we miss is the fact that it's for an appointed time. And when we are not doing what we need to do at the appointed time, there's strain, there's struggle, there's delay. All of that is present because it's not that what you are trying to do is not a great idea, or it's not that it's something that can't be done, but it's not the appointed time for it to happen. So you're not able to get the result that you're looking for. And then we often quit. And that too happens in marriage, because some people have gotten married too fast. They got married before they were supposed to. And so they go through struggle periods until they get to the appointed time. And when the appointed time comes, then they're just as happy as they want to be, trying to figure out, why did we go through these first 2 years of all of this? Because you rushed into it. And in not having the proper counsel, not going through the proper seasons to see and to observe and to make sure that you understand everything about the person that you're committing to spending the rest of your life with, then you get into those situations and then you want to quit when you haven't even reached your appointed time yet. And some people have given up on business. Some people have given up on marriage because they got into it too fast. They didn't do their proper research. They didn't seek God. They didn't get the green light from him to move forward with it, that now is the time. Because when it's the right time, the right doors are open. When it's the right time, then there's favor associated with it, you know. And when you are trying to operate in something that you need God for, you can't expect him to show up where he's not going to show up because it ain't time for him to make his appearance.
True.
Not time yet.
So true. So if you have any comments or questions, you can call 1-855-493-6499. Type your comments or questions on social media. If you're with us on social media, we'll read it. You will help somebody. I'm positive that you will help somebody. If you just feel free to call or type your question, because this is a conversation. We are not dictating.
Right.
So, you know, and in your process, because I feel like a lot of people fail in their process because they're not prepared for their process. And so, you know, you can't go from 1 to 10. You know, you have to take each step as it comes in your relationship and your business so that you can meet the goal. And as I said earlier, I was asking people to call in to tell how do you bounce back? But I'll just say for me, you learn from the low times. You know, why is this the low time? Or what do I do in the low times? Or oh, I didn't prepare. And for example, there are certain businesses that at certain times of the year we're more lucrative or making more money, or have more business at certain times of the year. But how do you prepare? Because when you first go into it, you may not think about it, you know, that, okay, for 2 months of this year, depending on your, what is it called? I'm having brain fog tonight, guys. Gosh, too much going on. Depending on your demographic, you may have sometimes where you don't have as many clients or customers as you normally would, because sometimes, you know, we allow life situations to take away from the things that we would do regularly, or the small things people might think small. So let's just say if you are a manicurist, so you do nails, then sometimes, depending on who you serve, after Christmas, you might not have anybody. Right. Because they spent their money on other stuff. Because one thing people do not do, this is what I've learned, people don't put the things they like all the time in their budget. So there are some people that put getting their nails in their budget. It's not an extra thing. So they put it in their budget, and they always are going to get it done because it's in their budget. But there are many people who don't do that. Some people don't put getting their hair done in their budget, getting a massage in their budget. So then when you don't do that, the person that's the business owner, you know that you are going to have some months where people won't be there. Not that you won't have any customers, but people won't be there. Right. So, a lot of times we don't prepare for that. We don't prepare for the downside of the business. We don't prepare for the month or 2 months that instead of having, 1,000 customers or clients, we only have 500. We didn't prepare for that. So then your household takes a hit. Your business takes a hit. Your household takes a hit. And that's one of the things that I had to learn from. I had to learn, and I'm still learning, to make sure that it's not so bad that you're out of business, or you're like, how am I going to get back up from this? And it's not affecting your relationship or your household or whatever you, if you're working still, like I am working, I still work. So if it affects a bill I decided to pay or something like that, then I need to figure out, I need to go back to the table and say, okay, how do I make my money stretch? What am I doing wrong with the money that I am making, so that when I am down, I will be prepared for it?
Yeah.
If y'all understand what I'm saying. Because I know it took me an hour to say that. 10 minutes. So, but I got there. This is rough. It's rough tonight. It's rough. But I got there. So, if you have any questions or any comments about business, about, going through the process and what you do in the downtime, and how to continue to have a successful relationship while you're also building a business, and your timing and your finances and anything, you can call us at 1-855-493-6499, and we will be glad to talk to you. Or you can type your comment if you're with us on social media.
And I think that, like you said, it's important to be able to find that balance and to be able to make sure that you're making the right decisions. I know a lot of business owners who have great ideas, and, I've seen them kind of work. I've seen them grind. I've seen them build. I've seen them do a lot, but I've never heard or seen their mate be in agreement with what they're doing. And that's not the healthiest thing. Now, it doesn't mean that they never had the conversation and that the mate isn't aware of what's going on and none of that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, in many of those cases, I never heard or saw the mate push, promote, even mention that business, even in moments where that business could have been mentioned. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so things like that kind of can make things look bad, even if it's not that they aren't in agreement. It just might be that they're not in the know to be able to speak on it. And so that goes back to the importance of that partnership. It goes back to the importance of, you guys being a team and knowing what's happening, so that if someone mentions, you got a dump truck and someone is mentioning they need something done, you already know, oh no, we can take care of that, or, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And to be able to speak freely about it, because you are invested, even if you aren't a working member, or even if you aren't the one who's, doing the work or any of that. But just the fact that you're connected and your communication is on point, that it makes it where you're just as free to speak about it as if you were the owner. You know what I mean? And that also shows that business is widespread, and it's not contained to just the one person. You know what I'm saying? You want to be able to, you feel better as a consumer when you can have a conversation with someone that's not the owner and feel like you got owner's information.
Yes, you do.
So that's always a great, thing, because at the end of the day, word of mouth is one of our best sources of, one of our best sources of, promotion and, all of that. And so if you can't get the word of mouth from the mate, then that's kind of bad. That's a bad situation. You know what I mean? So that's just something to consider, and that's something that I think that we all can really look at if you're a business owner, to say, hey, really thinking about it. What could my mate actually? How well could my mate actually promote what we have to offer? And like I said, in some cases, it's not that they aren't supportive of it. Maybe you just haven't brought them up to speed with the knowledge of where things are, what can happen, what it can do, all of that, and you may want to even kind of look into that with a proposing it from the aspect of even asking them, so, hey, what all do we provide? What all do we we do? What all can we do, so that if someone were to ask you, what would you be able to say? And no, you might not be able to spit off the price sheet, but you can talk about the services and you can point them in the right direction. You can give them the contact information, whether it's a phone number or a website.
Don't get that money up front.
You know what I mean? Whether it's the website, it's the phone number, it's social media, it's whatever. Like, if you don't want to be that mate that somebody is asking about the business that your spouse has, you like, oh, let me call them. So hey babe, what's the number that they can call if they wanna get their, like what you tell, what they supposed to do or whatever. That's not a good sign. So you want to make sure that everybody's on, speaking the same language. You definitely will make sure of how that goes. So, that's important. If there was one thing, because we're bringing this, this is the last episode of this series that we're doing on business and marriage. If there was one last thought that you could leave with them concerning this, that you think is something that is kind of like a must know or must have or must do, what would that be?
I think it's the same as my first thought, that make all parties aware. So your spouse should be aware. It may be a time that you have to tell your kids, this is what is going to happen for the next few months. You might not give them detail, but so they're not just thinking, oh, mommy's gone, daddy's gone, like we don't know what they're doing. But I think that everybody should be aware of what is happening and that it should be written and that all parties should be able to be in agreement to what is about to happen to produce a successful business. But ultimately, I say don't give up. Don't give up on whatever you have in your heart that you want to do, whatever you love. Don't give up on it. Just find a way to make it work for your situation. Do not say, oh, I'm just not going to do it then, because then you'll be miserable. Find a way to make it work for your situation, so that you can be successful or feel good and one day hopes that you will be that entrepreneur, and not have to work a job and also have your business. Or if you just only own a business, you want it to be successful and you want to have multiples,
right.
And you want to make it so it's making money for you while you're finally sitting home with your family. So yeah, don't give up and make sure everybody knows what's happening.
That's good stuff. And I think that
detention.
I think that I would say that in order for you to have success, you need to be able to prioritize, and you need to know why you're doing it, and you need to know when to do it, because you are not just a business owner, but you're a business owner that's married. And you have to be able to prioritize and to know when to not be greedy. To have discipline, because you could be open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. But if you want your relationship to be successful, you might have to have 1 or 2 days that you close at 6 or 8, because you have to spend some family time, or you may need to have date night, or whatever the case. But sometimes we forget about the structure that we need to have and the things that we need to do, because we can get so focused on the money that we forget about the principles that are behind it. So that would be what I would say, you need to do. But, that's something that, you guys all need to kind of consider, and it's something that you have to do and make as a decision for yourself. So, that's where we are with the business and marriage. Next month, we will be talking about love, and we'll be doing a series on love all of February, so you don't want to miss that, because we will be, doing it. So, yeah. So we're gonna get into it, and we want you all to be a part of that. And then we also want to know what y'all doing for Valentine's Day. What you got going on for those of you who are late thinkers? It's around the corner. Don't be waiting till the 13th.
Start now. We giving you a heads up.
Don't be waiting till the 13th and you can't find no card, and then you in there drawing like you 7, trying to make trying to make a card. Right? Yeah, you want to be on point. So don't wait till the last minute to get your gift. Yes. Yeah, don't do it. Show some value. To it. And like you said, you're able to do these things without spending $1 million.
Yes.
It's not always about the amount that you spend, but the mindset that you had and the intention that you had when you did prepare to do it. So, all of that is important, and we're looking forward to talking about love next month, because There's so much to love, and we will be cutting it all up, getting all into it. So make sure you're prepared to spend a month with us on the Couples Corner. So we thank you all for sharing with us, and we look forward to everything that you all will be doing. And we want to hear some success stories too. So feel free to inbox us or to leave a message of how you were able to gain some things to use for your business and your marriage as a result of this series. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next go around.
Thank you for tuning in to the Couples Corner with Team Bevins. We're grateful that you stopped by and shared your time with us tonight. We look forward to seeing you again here next week at 9 p.m. And feel free to share this on your page with any of your people who would benefit from this conversation. We're grateful that you shared your time with us. And now we've got to go, but we look forward to connecting with you again here on the Couples Corner with Team Bevins.